Hello everybody, the Lawn Gnome is here.
This is Major Tom to ground control.
So welcome to the first music review of 2016. Today I've got two very interesting bands. One is a band that I've been following for many years. I actually did a whole documentary on this band about 2 years ago. And the second band is one that I just recently discovered thanks to a sound that I know and love. And that's the one that we're going to take a look at first. This was an album that came out last year. It is a band from Australia. They are called the Wombats and their album is called Glitterbug. It's actually their third album. I found out about it thanks to a guy named Mark, and his channel's name is Spectrum Pulse, where he talks about a lot of different kinds of bands and artists, and of course always reviews albums. And he actually called this one of his best albums of 2015. While this is not in my top 5, it is definitely one of the better albums that I have heard, especially because of the fact that there's a lot of bands that have come out in the last 15 years that actually are carrying this neo-new wave kind of sound. These are bands that include The Killers. Believe it or not, I even hear a little bit of Owl City in there. There's Modest Mouse, Franz Ferdinand, and it also reminds me of all those great new wave sounds from the 80s like The Cure, Depeche Mode, and New Order. Now, this album is absolutely fantastic. I definitely think that it is one of the better albums that did come out in 2015. It's a very good listen. All the songs are great. Some are better than others. I would definitely say that songs like Give Me a Try, Greek Tragedy, and Pink Lemonade are probably 3 of my favorites on this CD. It's never boring. It's a great listen straight through, and it's definitely very uppity, and it makes you feel good, and it's definitely something good to listen to, especially when you're doing a little bit of a drive. And I feel that this is a band that a lot of people really should be listening to. As a matter of fact, how often do you in the United States hear about bands from Australia? This is actually the second one that I have found in the past 6 months. One was a band called Strange Talk, and the reason why I liked Strange Talk was because of the fact that it sounded like this band as well. So if you like the sounds of new wave and you want to hear something fresh, definitely pick up the Wombats. And the next album that I want to talk about is an album from a band that I love, and that of course is the brand new double disc rock opera from the band Dream Theater, and it is called The Astonishing. This is 2 hours worth of music, guys. There are so many songs on this album. It is unbelievable. It's their first double album since 6 Degrees of Inner Turbulence, and it is definitely one of their more interesting albums that they have made. It's definitely not their best. Their best will always be, at least for a long, long time, Metropolis Part 2 Scenes from a Memory. A lot of people are not really liking it because it just doesn't have the hard sound that Dream Theater carried, especially in the early part of the 2000s. You know what? I'm absolutely fine with that. I could use a little bit of airy and wide open and sometimes a little bit soothing sounds from a band like Dream Theater because they do carry that sound as well. You definitely hear that in some of their earlier stuff. There are lots of really good songs on here, but because of the fact that it's so much music, there's definitely tons of potential to really do something with this album. Who knows? Maybe they'll turn this rock opera into a Broadway show like they did with Tommy back in the day. But because there is so much music, and because of the fact that it's one lead singer, James LaBrie, that is playing all these characters, it's very hard to differentiate, especially as the story goes along. And so you kind of do get lost in the music itself, and you can't really tell what is what. But it's still a very good listen. Definitely an interesting one from Dream Theater. Not their worst, but as far as I'm concerned, probably somewhere in the middle as far as their entire discography. But I am so glad that I own this. It is always a pleasure to hear something new from a band that I love like Dream Theater. And along with them, I highly suggest that you give these 2 albums a listen. They're definitely worth your time, especially if you want to listen to something that you may not have heard before. So thank you very much for watching this music review, guys. I will look forward to seeing you in the next one, and actions speak louder than words.
Dance, magic dance.